If you're a fan of the GTA franchise, then you're probably asking yourself where GTA 6 is. It's been almost 6 years since GTA 5 and it's the longest time that we've gone without a new installment. And you gotta wonder, how much longer do we have to wait? Well, thanks to some recently leaked info regarding GTA 6, we now know when it might release, along with other leaks regarding where the game is gonna take place, what time period it's set in, who the character could be, and what the whole story behind GTA 6 is. You might be wondering if these leaks are worth giving credence to, and as with any leak, you should take the info with a grain of salt because there haven't been any official Rockstar announcements for the game. However, the posts regarding the recent leaks have actually been taken down mysteriously, and it obviously makes you wonder if this was actually true, considering that maybe it was Rockstar who took down these posts. Thankfully, people managed to save the leak before it was taken down, and this is what it says. GTA 6 is going to feature multiple big cities which players can travel across. You will start as a small-time guy in Liberty City doing odd chores and small-time thefts, and eventually work your way to Vice City where you will join a famous gang. You will be tasked to look after business in Liberty City until you are brought back to Vice City and soon become a drug lord. Rockstar Games has an idea about when they want to release the game, but the corporates want to analyze the sales of PS5 and the Xbox 2. This game can't come out for PS4 because of memory restrictions. We have two major cities along with a vast stretch of highways and Blaine County-like countrysides in the middle of it all. There will also be some kind of timed era between the missions with flashbacks. Certain shops will sell different types of items in different eras. Red Dead Redemption 2 type stranger dialogues will be implemented. There are big plans in online and with major content like newer towns. They are working closely with Microsoft and Sony on cloud gaming, which will help them enable online to be a continuous process. So this is a lot of info. The first thing to note is that the game's world is probably going to be the biggest one yet. Bigger than GTA 5 and bigger than Red Dead Redemption 2, since we're apparently getting multiple cities. The post mentions Liberty City and Vice City, but obviously we could be getting some smaller cities in between those two in sort of the Blaine County sort of area they were talking about. So maybe some cities we haven't seen yet in the GTA franchise out in a desert or maybe in a forest or something like that. Since obviously Liberty City is based on New York City and Vice City is based on Miami, there's just a ton of room between those two cities, so you could only imagine how gigantic this map could possibly be. Now, obviously the GTA universe is set in a fictional world, so there might not necessarily be a single island we'll be playing on. After all, every GTA game takes place on an island, and the world map might actually look more like a group of islands instead of the eastern coast of the United States. However, the post did state that there was going to be a vast stretch of highways and Blaine-like countrysides in between the two cities, so who knows, maybe they're changing the look of Liberty City and Vice City and mashing it all together into one big island instead of keeping them the way they originally were. There was a leak before this one that stated GTA 6 had a code name that went by Project Americas, and it would totally make sense that the game world might try to embody the entire eastern seaboard of the United States. Obviously, it would be miniaturized to fit within a video game, so it wouldn't be an accurate one-to-one scale of the East Coast because that would just be too enormous, but the post did mention that GTA 6 would be exclusive to the PS5 and Xbox 4 because of quote-unquote memory restrictions, so who knows, the map might actually be a lot bigger than we're thinking right now. Regarding the main character in the game, it seems like it's going to be a male lead again. I think we all expected this since no one really wanted a strong female lead, since most of the people that play this game are men. I think it would only make sense that there would be a male protagonist. On the other hand, if the game had multiple characters like GTA 5, which we're not sure if that's the case maybe yet, I wouldn't mind one of them being a woman. But if strictly one character was given to us, we would obviously want it to be a male protagonist. So the fact that he said a small-time guy in the post wasn't really much of a surprise. The main time period this game is going to take place in is unknown, but we're going to be getting multiple eras. What I can't believe about this is the fact that they'd have to completely remake the cities to look the way they're supposed to. Say if one of the eras took place in the 70s, well, then they'd have to completely remodel Liberty City to look like it did back in that time period. It just seems like a lot of work for Rockstar, and the whole era thing just doesn't make sense to me. If it is true, then Rockstar has a lot of work to do. You know, all of the city has to be remodeled to look like it was in the 70s, and if they have another era, then it might have to look like it was in the 80s, and then maybe a modern era. Who knows? There's a lot of work to do if this is the case. Along with all of that, the leak mentions that there's going to be a lot of stranger missions similar to Red Dead Redemption 2. No surprise there, since stranger missions were always a thing. And finally, the online mode for GTA 6 will also be a huge deal. Again, not surprising considering how well GTA 5's online mode did. I think what really interested me was the fact that the post mentioned major updates like new towns being added, and it almost sounds like they're going to be changing the map like Fortnite does all the time. I don't play Fortnite, but I definitely think that it would be really cool for them to do what Fortnite kind of does. I just think that the online mode is definitely something we're going to be playing for years after the game's release. I think we're in for some pretty cool updates and whatnot. So there's clearly a lot of info here about the upcoming game, but I think the most interesting thing is what the story is going to be. According to the post, we'll be starting out as a small-time guy in Liberty City and then work our way up to become like a drug lord or something. Back when the Project Americas leak came out and mentioned that the whole story behind GTA 6 would involve the huge drug trade in the 70s and the 80s, and considering Vice City is a take on Miami, Florida, it would make a ton of sense. And Dan Houser, one of the co-founders of Rockstar Games, mentioned that he didn't want to release GTA 6 in the Trump era, so it only gives more credence to the Project Americas thing. So he went on to say it's really unclear what we would even do with it, let alone how upset people would get with whatever we did. Both intense liberal progression and intense conservatism are both very militant and very angry. It is scary, but it's also strange, and yet both of them seem to occasionally veer towards the absurd. It's hard to satirize for those reasons. Some of the stuff you see is straightforwardly beyond satire. It would be out of date within 2 minutes. Everything is changing so fast. So I'm not really sure why Trump has anything to do with GTA 6, considering it's literally just a parody of life. I mean, you drive cars and you kill people. It's a video game, so I don't see why any of this has to do with the Trump era, but I'm not the one making the game, so if Rockstar wants to strictly do something in the late 1900s, I'd be fine with it, but I think a lot of people might not take interest in playing in the past, like the 70s or the 80s, especially when it comes to the online mode. GTA 5's online mode is known for all the absurd updates they release, but I don't think that they'll be able to replicate that kind of stuff in the next game if they stick with the past time period, you know, with the 70s and the 80s. Since, after all, the reason GTA Online was so successful was because of all the crazy stuff they kept adding, and the only way you can keep doing that is if you set it in this modern age, because it kind of makes more sense. Who knows, we'll just have to wait and see, and hopefully they have a modern era in GTA 6, but only time will tell. So with that all said, I think the biggest question we have is, when is it coming out? There was a rumor recently that Sony was going to have an exclusive deal with Rockstar that would make GTA 6 exclusive to the PlayStation 5 for about a month, meaning Xbox players would have to get it a whole month later after PlayStation players have already had it for like a month. So they denied such a deal ever happened, but it would be interesting to see how it would actually play out. And if it did happen, it could possibly be a day one game releasing with the PS5, and being the fact that the PS5 looks like it's going to be releasing holiday 2020, it might be possible that GTA 6 could be coming out late 2020 to early 2021. If the game came out alongside of the console, I'm sure that they would make tons of sales. I feel like Sony knows it's going to be hard to get people to buy a PS5, considering PS4s are still great. So I think the main incentive is going to be the long-awaited GTA 6 game. If you don't have a reason to buy PlayStation 5, then you might have one now, because maybe the game is only coming out with the new generation. So if the game is coming out within that time frame, holiday 2020, I would think that a trailer could be released at any moment here, especially considering both GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 both had trailers 2 years prior to the release of the game. And if we look towards that date for a release of the game, well, there's less than 2 years. So Red Dead Redemption 2 is actually supposed to release 1 year after the trailer, but they ended up delaying the game. So just because a trailer released, you know, say tomorrow, that doesn't necessarily mean that the game would have to come out 2 years exactly from then. So, you know, something like summer 2021 if the trailer came out tomorrow. So again, if the game actually does come out in holiday 2020, we could be expecting a trailer very soon. Having said all that, I think GTA 6 is going to be an amazing game, and I can't wait for its release. For me personally, the #1 thing I'll be looking forward to will be all the exploration and the crazy side missions that we'll get in the game. And considering the world might be absolutely gigantic, I hope there's tons of stuff to explore, like a huge sprawling forest or something like that with tons of different animals and little secret areas and all these little side things you can do, along with all the regular GTA stuff you would do, like stealing cars, of course, and shooting up the streets. But let me know what you guys want to see in GTA 6. Tell me about your hopes for the game and what you think about the leaks down in the comment section below. But other than that, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, a like and a subscribe are always appreciated, as it only does take a second out of your day to make mine. But with that said, have a wonderful day, and see you in the next one.